Brother, I'm going run a wild Hulk Hogan. If all I get's a moment, I'll make sure it's an explosion. Cause lately I've been seeing stars, trying to kick out on this chokehold. But it's no holds barred, middle fingers like I'm Stone Cold.
What is up, everybody? This is another episode of the Slapping Meat Wrestling podcast. My name is WeTooDeep, and we got a decent show for you. We got a good one. We got a good lineup here for you. We're gonna predict NXT HEATWAVE. That's on Sunday. We're gonna answer or ask. Really, we're gonna ask some questions to Triple H in regarding the booking of one of who I would consider an underused, overlooked superstar, and talk about that saga. I previewed this on Tuesday. DJ Wavy D gave his thoughts on it, and that's Dakota Kai. But first, the first thing that I want to talk about is my reaction to this week's Wyatt 6 segment. And I know what just happened in your head. Oh, here we go again. He's talking Wyatt 6. He doesn't like it. Why does he keep talking about it? Right. First off, I don't understand that logic. That logic to me is like, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. Just don't talk about it. That's the AEW fan logic. And that's not what I do here, right? That I'm here to create a conversation, right? And so I think this is something that needs a conversation. But also, I have a little bit of an opinion on this, and so we'll talk about that. But before we get into all of that, remember that we are an affiliate of the WWE shop. The link is in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscription button, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, give us that thumbs up, leave a comment, share this video among the wrestling community, so that we can make this community bigger, as well as join the Discord in that link in the description as well. So let's dive on into this Wyatt 6 thing. So yes, I think at this point, my critique of this has to be broken in two different segments, because presentation wise, especially week 2 and week 3 of this group, we have what the puppets are doing, and then we have what Howdy and Bo, that promo that's on the tape. So you have the deliverance of the tape, and then you have the tape itself. And the only part of this that I'm even halfway interested in is the stuff that's on the tape. Now, I have one question to ask in this regard. These people could hack into WWE TV. They can hack into the lights. They can hack into the stream and show these QR codes. They can turn the lights off. They can play the creepy music. They can have a door appear where a door wasn't 2 minutes ago, right? So that's the one thing. Like this whole door thing, I get it's all for the aesthetic, but like it's sort of the aesthetic gets removed, especially in the arena when you see them building the set, right? And so this was not meant for. In my opinion, that sort of takes away the believability, knowing that they had to put this together before this happened, right? Or that's the only explanation for a random door on a wrestling set, right? That it just magically poofed. And so you have anyway, you can hack into all of this. You can supposedly hack into McAfee show, and all of that, but you can't hack in to show us these promos with Howdy talking to himself. with Bo. You have to deliver these by VHS tape. You've devolved in level of execution. You're now going back in time. You're not using the technology that you have to hack into these things to produce decent, or to produce this in a way that it's not on a VH. I just don't understand what is the use of the VHS. That's not important. So why are we showing VHS? It's to show the damn promos. That's just how I look at it, right? Because the segments where they're delivering the tapes, these things are hokey as shit, dude. Like this is what you can't suspend your belief in this, right? You can't suspend the disbelief that this is a real thing that's happening because it's just fog machines and the lights were turned off. And it's just so hokey, it's so corny. This is the part of the gimmick that I don't like. Right? But these promos, right? They're progressing the story of Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy, and we see them sort of become one, and that's fine. But my bigger question then is, what about the other four? Right? Especially there's one in this group. Like, so the main roster at some point in time has seen Nikki Cross, and we've seen sort of her story going from sanity into just being by herself as Nikki Cross, going into Alexa. Didn't she partner with Alexa Bliss at first when she was Nikki ASH, right? And then she came back as Nikki Cross, and nothing really happened, and she never really got over. And so we sort of know her story, right? So you don't really have to explain the whole, well, she got forgotten and this is just her getting revenge thing, because we get that, right? We've seen Dexter Lumis in some way, shape, or form on the main roster before. So we get that. Eric Redbeard, even though it's been a year since he's been on TV in some way, shape, or form as Eric Rowan, we know his story if you've paid attention to wrestling over the last 5 to 10 years. You know who he is, his story. I would start picking up with introducing him back to the universe for the newer fans, because believe it or not, WWE has some newer fans who haven't watched all but the Bloodline era, right? They haven't watched before then, and so they may not know who Eric Rowan is. But the main one I'm concerned with is Joe Gacy. We've never seen him on the main roster. So unless you're like me and watch NXT on a week-to-week basis, you have zero idea who Joe Gacy is. You have no idea who he is. And so thinking from the casual perspective, why are we not developing who Joe Gacy is as part of this crew? Because that's the one where the casual fan who don't know his story, who don't know what Schism is in NXT and who he was and all of that, right? No one knows about Joe Gacy unless you watched NXT. And so while we're having all of this profoundness in these promos with Bo sort of finding himself and becoming one with this Uncle Howdy character, and this really, I know I said this last week, but I'm going to say it again today, really reminded me of Mr. Robot, because similar things happened in that show where the main character and his sort of dissociative personality disorder. And so I want to bring this, if that's what this is, because I'm going to be honest with you, the ending of Mr. Robot, the season finale, and I'm just gonna sit here and say this: the show ended in like 2019. The show or 2020. The show started in 2015. So you've had 5 years since it ended, 10 years since it began. You've had time to watch the show. So if y'all are gonna sit here and say, "Oh, don't spoil it for me," y'all statute of limitations for when spoilers can be told are over. Like I give people 6 months, right? If a movie comes out today, I'll give you 6 months before I expect you to have at least, if you haven't watched it within the first 6 months of it coming out, you don't deserve to not have spoilers, because you go watch the film if you really care that much about it. But I think a lot of people just, oh, don't spoil it for me, but they have no plans to watch it. So you know what? Fuck you. You're getting spoilers, right? That's just how I feel, right? And so the ending of the season finale of this show was highly, for someone who was so into it, it was sort of anticlimactic. I'm just gonna be honest with you, where basically what we find out is that everything that we've seen over the 4 seasons was a figment in the imagination of this guy, in that he had created so many personalities, because he had dissociative personality disorder, that he had created basically his own world that doesn't really exist. It was just a separate sort of like personality, right? And it was hot. That's the best way that I can explain it. People can explain it a lot better and better terminology, and looking in, like, because even with that show, I didn't look into everything at a super deep level when I was watching that show. You can watch it on Amazon Prime if you want to watch it. I do believe it is included with Prime. But with that being said, if the Wyatt 6, if the correlations with Mr. Robot continue, in that it's a man with personality disorder who sort of talks to himself, and he has this sort of like, one of his personalities named Mr. Robot, or in this case Uncle Howdy, is sort of like an evil guy trying to do an evil plan to get back at some evil that had happened to this person. If that's what this becomes, and then it ends up becoming that, oh, all of these other puppets are just personalities of Bo Dallas, I'm telling you right now, I'm not sticking around for that. But what I will stick around for is the production of these promos that are on these tapes, and all of that. That these are fine. I'm not sold on the gimmick yet, but if you just showed these on TV, they make for a decent viewing, right? I still huff and puff when it comes on. I still think the setup to the tape, delivering the tape, is kind of stupid. Like quite stupid. Like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to me why you would destroy Gable and Otis's momentum and take away that moment from Otis. It doesn't make sense to me how, now that you decided to take that away, you don't really take that serious either, because Chad Gable takes blunt force trauma from a fucking mallet to the face, or what we can assume was a mallet, though it looked like a gunshot to the head. Even no matter what it is, he's miraculously healed in some mystical ways, where, so people are like, oh, this will work out as long as they keep the supernatural. Guys, the supernatural has already fucking happened. Chad Gable miraculously came back from whatever altered state he was when he got attacked, where it looked like he was dead. And now he's healed. Now he doesn't have any scratches on him. It's been 2 weeks. Magically, supernaturally, he's been healed. Y'all act like the supernatural is not part of this gimmick. Chad Gable should not be walking right now if this was real life. If this was real life and a man got beat unconscious by whatever it was that had him leaking blood from his head, he's not doing what he's doing right now. So the supernatural has already entered this gimmick, right? The supernatural is already here. Now, that's not a bad thing in and of itself, but when the rest of the show is based in reality, in this realm, in the natural realm, adding something supernatural to it, especially something, right? Now, I will say this. The creativity of this And this is just going on sort of a personal note. I like the illusions that, I mean, and Bray did the same thing as well. The illusions that are being made to um, the sort of Potter and Clay storyline here, that comes out of, I believe, because his sister posted it. This is what Bray would want if you guys were to read this. This gives you some context, and it's I believe Jeremiah 18, right? I like this stuff, right? Because first off, it makes me laugh because a majority of wrestling fans, especially the internet ones, are super non-religious, and this is a religious gimmick. Let's just be honest. If we break this down, this is a religious gimmick done by religious people, right? This is a supernatural gimmick. I think it's telling a story through, right, and this is, I like that aspect of it, being a religious person myself. That when you get these illusions, and a lot of, it's something that if you've never really read any religious text or understand religion in general, you wouldn't pick up on, right? If Mika, I think that's his sister's name, hadn't mentioned it, um people would not have picked on that the Potter Clay thing is a biblical allusion to God creating human beings, right? And that human beings are clay in the hands of God, right? And that's, having those illusions and understanding them on that level. Um, Whereas half, if not more than half, of the wrestling fan base would not have understood that outside of a sort of, because while it is a religious reference, a lot of people use those same, like, pawn strings, being pulled type thing to, like, a government, or like so this could come down to, depending on your level of understanding of what you take it to be. This has a different meaning to each person, right? But if you reach that what I would consider, you have like the face value of what level of it, where more than likely, we're pawns in this game. We're clay in the hands of the potter. He could just be talking about, on the face value, that we were forgotten by our bosses, by our by the creative team of WWE, and we're just, clay in their hands. But then there's the sort of, the conspiratorial realm that this could get into, by mentioning, the government, and the secret societies of the world that are really pulling the strings, right? But once you get past those levels, there's like a third level, like see, now you got me over here explaining why the Wyatt Six on like a meta level, right? The sort of third dimension of this is that religious aspect. And so, me being a religious person, if Bo Dallas and this Wyatt Six stuff can spread, if this will get people picking up, you know the Bible in any way, shape, or form, I'm all for it. And that's from a personal, uh thing. Like, from a historical point of view, just to read, fun story. Like, if you don't believe in religion at all, Bible's still a fun story to read about. Like, I remember in sixth grade, we would read all of the Greek myths and the Roman myths and all of those things, and those were fun stories. Didn't believe a damn thing that I was reading, right? But they were fun stories to read, and about how other cultures um depicted and believed that the world began, and how society began, and in a sort of, like, historicist opinion, like, perspective of at least the Old Testament, um because the New Testament isn't really myth. It's more, um here's this guy, here's what he taught, Here's what his followers did. So that's more pure history. It's not necessarily story. It's not story based in the New Testament, but the Old Testament, right? The creation story, the flood story, the history of the Hebrew people. We don't ever read Hebrew history in America, right? We don't. We get Greek myth, Roman myth. If you get into to military history, you get you get the Roman Empire, the Egyptian Empire, the Greek Empire, the how we talk about the Mongols, and they never really held an empire that mattered. You talk about the Chinese wars and American wars and European wars, and we always seem to overlook, the Hebrew wars, right, of the Hebrew people, and there were some wars there, and that a lot of people. If I were to say look up the Maccabean revolt, none of y'all would know what that is, right? And so from that meta level of the Wyatt Six, that third level, I'm for it. I'm for Bo Dallas and these illusions, and that's really the only part of this gimmick that I like. I'm be honest with you. I don't like I don't think the other four are needed. I don't think we need puppets brought to life that attack people. I don't think we need that. I just don't. I think there are better ways to utilize these talents than to have them in some group at this point doing literally nothing. But the story of like this should have just been a story of Bo Dallas trying to cope with the death of his brother. Even if that means he becomes Uncle Howdy, we just haven't got that connection. Like, so I'm starting to turn in favor of Uncle Howdy, and Bo Dallas is part of this. Now you got to connect it. Now, right? And I know a lot of people are like, well, it's a slow story. Here's the thing. You can't take 3-4 months with this and not put it in the ring. You just can't. You can't do this thing where like you slow do the, and you don't have them do anything of importance. If all the next 3 months is get to know us and who we are and why we did this, and then you get in the ring, by that point I'm out. Like, I may be sold on the story, but if I don't get to see you fight and do something, right? And you don't even have to have matches with people that matter. That's why I wish you would have stayed away from Gable, because Gable matters, right? And Gable doesn't win, and like I'm sorry, I don't care what people believe. A lot of people, Bray made LA Knight. No, he did not. He hurt LA Knight's advancement. LA Knight did not come out better off because of that feud. Chad Gable will not come out better off out of this feud. The only thing the Wyatt Six previously through Bray Wyatt has done is hurt the babyface. Or in this case, right, because now he's going back and he's trying, like, I don't know what the storyline is here, but no one who ever gets close to the Wyatt Six or Bray Wyatt or Uncle Howdy, no one who comes in through that will be in any betterment, right? LA Knight's career was stunted for the 3 months that he was in that storyline. Chad Gable's progression is now stunted because he's in the middle of this. Anytime I see Chad Gable now the assumption isn't, well, how is he going to progress the story with Otis? When's the Creed's coming? That's not the first thought. The first thought is, well, what's Howdy going to do this week? What's Howdy going to do this week to get into his mind and deliver another tape, right? And so that's the part you lose me on. But if we could remove 95% of this gimmick and just have this thing where Taylor Rotund, and again, this is meant for a TV show, like not a wrestling show, but like I honestly believe if WWE waited to air this and even do this and spent 2024 like filming and producing a Netflix TV series known as the Wyatt Six, and this was on TV, and I would be all for it. This would be a decent story. But putting this on a wrestling show and not having these people wrestle, because now, like, I hear the people saying, like, oh, I don't think they need to put these guys in the ring. And I actually agree with them. There's no reason for them to wrestle. But if you're going to be on a wrestling show, you're not going to fully sell me until you're in the ring. But I don't think they have to be, because they're not meant for this genre of show. Give them their own little gimmick where they can do the psychological thrillers. Give them their own little show on Netflix that's produced and is that psychological thriller that maybe can, like, you could go deeper into, like I feel like that's what this should be, is sort of that type of like produced cinematic show and not this wrestling thing. And it doesn't even have to be matches. We just need to, even if it's like a cinematic thing where it's like you're in this different universe, that's still too meta for me though. But like you get what I'm saying. Like I need to see these people interact with other people outside of just attacking, and like they need to interact, and we need to I need to know what the other characters are doing, like, because they came in, they massacred everyone in the back, and then we don't, only one we see is Nikki Cross, and all she does is deliver tapes, and then that's about it, right? So I need to see more from the rest of the group. I'm sold on the Bo Dallas part. He does a very good job at this, but I need some more from the rest of the group. So now that I've spent way too long talking about the Wyatt Six, let's move into Dakota Kai. I previewed this on Tuesday that I was going to do this, and Monday night when I decided to do this, I was sort of in my feels, and I still kind of am. So the question that I want to ask is, Triple H, what are you doing? What are you doing with Dakota Kai? I believe that she is completely used the wrong way. Now, she should, this is my opinion, she should have won the Money in the Bank qualifier. She should have won it. And I know there's going to be people like Wavy D, and he has all the right to his opinion, that are going to say, oh, it's for the story. It's for the story. You know what would have benefited the story? This is my response to that. You know what would have really made a very good story? Dakota Kai being in Money in the Bank. And when Io Sky thinks now she has Dakota Kai in her corner to help her two-peat, right? And Io Sky goes up the ladder to grab the briefcase, and Dakota Kai pushes it over. That helps progress the story. That then sets up Dakota Kai as a babyface against Io Sky, right? Where she can then take on, for the next 3 months, Damage Control. And Damage Control can slowly turn into a Japanese faction, Asuka, Io, Kairi. And Dakota can fend them off and ultimately defeat them. Right? That's a story that's how I would have told this. But this story of like Dakota Kai losing and losing and losing and losing and then being kicked out, that's not for me. I'm sorry. That's right. And let's just assume, let's just say, okay, Zoe Stark's the right pick here, right? Because their other excuse is, oh, Dakota Kai shouldn't be in a ladder match. She's just months away from leg surgery. Okay. Well, here's my thing with that. Y'all aren't consistent with this argument. Now I can excuse more casual fans who don't watch NXT, but there are the fans out there who do watch NXT who see this and did not say a damn thing about Sol Ruka, who literally came back in 3 months ago and just competed in a 6-woman ladder match. Right? The logic's not consistent. Dakota Kai, just because you're in this match doesn't mean that she needs to go high. She doesn't need to go to the ladder, up the ladder, right? She could be down there with maybe Dakota Kai's motivation in getting in this. Yes, she wants to win Money in the Bank, But when at some point maybe it clicks to her that, hey, I just want to make sure Io doesn't become Money in the Bank again, right? Or something like that, right? Let's just be honest. Anyone sold by Zoe Stark? If Zoe Stark's only goal in here is to be the spot monkey, I don't know why she needs to be in this match, right? There's this field, and I didn't really say this on Tuesday, but this is my real thoughts on this. This field, like, this is the most obvious match that they created this for Tiffany Stratton to win, and it's completely obvious. This is one of the weaker matches on the card, and right, there's really no one there else who can challenge Tiffany in terms of star power. Right, so you got your Naomi, who the casual fans may be cheering for, but there's zero chance she wins. Zoe Stark, no one gives two holy shits, but she's literally there to take a bump. You got Io Sky, who people are cheering for. She maybe can challenge it, but I don't think that happens, right? I just think because traditionally these Money in the Bank matches create stories leading into Survivor Series, right? Or smaller stories heading into SummerSlam, right? And so what better way to do that than to have Dakota Kai keep Io Sky from winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, and that creates a feud between her. That's her turning, and instead of getting kicked out and looking like a chump, she could stand as the strong, independent babyface who the fans are behind. Because now the fans, right, WWE has done this to themselves, right, where the fans now expect to get everything that they want. Now, I'm not saying that Dakota Kai should have, like, yeah, I know I just said this. She should have won. She should have. If we were booking this for storyline, a storyline that actually mattered, Dakota Kai would be in here. She would turn on Io Sky. That's how I would do it. But let's just say, okay, Zoe Stark's the one, and patient, because everyone's like, well, you got to be patient with Dakota. Okay, that's fine. I can be patient with Dakota. I can. But does every time she get on the screen, does she have to eat a pin? Like this, every time Dakota Kai's in a match, she's the one taking a pin. Whether it's a tag match, where easily Kairi Sane could take a pin, but nah, Dakota Kai is going to be the one eating the pin. Right? Like, there's not time to waste, right? I'm going to say this with, like, the same as LA Knight. She's approaching 40. She's getting up there in age, and while she has time left in her career, there's not a lot left. And everyone's like, well, you just got to be patient. Well, this is where I was saying, well, for the last 2 to 3, 4, 5 years, we've been patient, waiting for this Dakota Kai push. When the real fans of Dakota Kai, who know what she can do, have been pushing for her to be, like, even when she was in NXT, would never really get an NXT title opportunity, always being put in these tag teams and giving the same story of she's going to enter a tag team, she's going to turn on her partner. And she did that with Tegan, she did that with Raquel, right? And that's the story, and that's all she ever did. And yes, injury sidelined her, and yes, she has had a couple knee injuries, and that's what happens when you do the style of wrestling that she does. But she never really got that NXT title opportunity at a time when the NXT division was kind of weak, and she never got that push. Right? But now we got strong women in NXT, like a lot of them. We got a deep roster now, right? We got a deep roster of women on the roster in general. And but the Raw division right now, when Rhea's not there, like, why not give Dakota Kai an opportunity? Or swerve us all and have Dakota win and cash in on Bayley. Like, swerve us all. There's ways you could transform this. I think that they made this match, this field, in a way to where Tiffany Stratton's going to be the only one people are cheering for to win the match, so that she's favored. because WWE has done this to themselves. Right? There's a section of the internet fan base that is in love with Dakota Kai, right? Who, right? And similar to what happened with Liv, and similar to what happened with Cody, and similar to what happened with Kofi Mania, these fans are cheering for it. They're behind it. We want Cody. We want Liv. Now it's we want Dakota, right? But it's been this way. These people have been cheering for Dakota for a while, right? And the patience kind of isn't there. Like, it's been, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I just literally watched her match in 2017 at the Mae Young Classic, where she debuted against, or well, it was her second round of the Mae Young Classic. So it was her second match in NXT against Rhea Ripley in 2017, right? Like, these people have been here the same amount of time. And granted, Rhea's better. I'll admit it. Rhea's better. She's younger. She has more charisma. She has a better character. I get all of that. But Dakota Kai has the same level of time and experience, and we've been waiting for what feels like a decade for Dakota Kai to get that big giant push that's not going to come, right? So this feels like Dolph Ziggler to me. So when people tell me to be patient, okay, well, how long are we being patient for before the fans can actually say, yo, you got to push her? Because it's been 7 years. It's been 7 years of Dakota Kai not being pushed, right? Like, all she does is tag team work. And she does deserve this singles run that she's put in 7 years in for. And I do believe she deserves a main roster title run with as a singles competitor without a team around her, right? I believe she deserves that. Just she's put in the work. And so, Triple H, what are we doing? Can we stop with the Zoe Stark experiment? It's not, no one likes her. And those who do, what do you see in Zoe Stark that Dakota Kai doesn't have? Hell, that even Ivy Nile, you're telling me Ivy Nile couldn't take this pin? Dakota had to take the pin? Like, that's where I'm more upset with. I don't necessarily care that Dakota's not in Money in the Bank. Is there a story there? I'm sure there is. Why is she eating pins every time she's in the ring? That's my main concern. Right. And so y'all can try to talk me out of this and say, well, it's only because you like Dakota and this, that, and the third, and you got to be patient and it's for the story. Well, how much more patient? Honestly, answer me. How much more patient do you want the fans to be when they've been patient for 7 years? Right. And it's one of those things where, like, what story is going to make this better than just putting her in the match? And they're like, well, she doesn't stand a chance to win. Okay, but of course, but neither does Zoe Stark, right? Neither does Naomi. Neither does Lyra Valkyria. Neither does, like let's just be honest. It's Tiffany or Chelsea. Those are the only two that are going to do this. Those are the only two that are going to do this. It's Tiffany or Chelsea. So create a story with Dakota costing Io the briefcase. There's your story. Yeah, you guys are saying be patient, it's for the story. I'm saying put her in the match, it's for the story. We're using the same logic, but coming to different conclusions. This is a case of Dakota Kai's not getting a singles push. And the fans are going to speak their mind. It's been 7 years that she's been in this company, and nothing has really come out of it. And so, I especially when there should be something that comes out of it. Now, is she injury prone? Sure. But you can work around that. You can work around injury proneness. Seth Rollins is injury prone. How many times has Seth Rollins been injured since he's been in WWE? Seth Rollins is injury prone. He's had several injuries. That's just a part of the game. You get around that. I'm not saying Dakota Kai's on Seth Rollins level. I'm just saying, like, you only use the injury issue when it's someone that people don't necessarily care for, right? Oh, well, that guy's injury prone. That girl's injury prone. Okay. Well, Dakota Kai has a lot of talent here, right? And she should be a top. Not again. This is the reason why we need a mid-card women's title. We wouldn't have these issues if imagine like Dakota Kai being mid-card women's champion. There's your singles run. I'd be okay with that. But that's not there right now. So the only other place to have the singles run is Money in the Bank. Right. So there's that. There's that. I guess you can call that a rant. More of me just asking questions and explaining my opinion. Triple H, what are we doing with Dakota? What are we doing? So let's go in and spend some time here, the rest of our time together, predicting NXT HEATWAVE. Now we got 5 matches. Now I made this joke, I believe, on Tuesday, but I'm gonna make it again. WWE has 2 shows this weekend. You got Money in the Bank, you got HEATWAVE. A total of 10 matches. And those 10 matches over 2 nights are better booked and more meaningful than the 15 matches that AEW just put in one night, right? These have more purpose, more meaning, right? But we're going to go ahead and start with the NXT Tag Team Championship match between Nathan Frazer and Axiom versus Chase University, which is Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. We saw on Tuesday that Ridge Holland is not allowed to travel to Canada with the team as decided by Andre Chase. And that's an interesting turn, but both of these teams sort of have some inner turmoil going on between them. This is going to be a fun match to watch. I do think Frazer and Axiom are going to retain. So that's my pick, Nathan Frazer and Axiom. We'll move forward to one of the matches that I'm looking forward to, but in terms of like importance on the card, the Women's North American Championship match is, down there at the bottom of the importance scale. So you got Kalani Jordan versus Sol Ruka. These are 2 baby faces. These are 2 baby faces fighting for this title, and I like this, right? Kalani Jordan wants to fight, and she wants to fight everyone. I don't understand why these open challenges happen, or the champion says, "Oh, I want to be an open, I want to be a fighting champion. Bring out whoever wants to fight," and they never bring out like a baby face against a baby, because only baby faces do these open challenges. Essentially, what it is, I'm going to be a fighting champion. Only baby faces do that, and so they never bring out a baby face to challenge. Well, Kalani Jordan goes to Ava and says, well, I want to fight the best, and the best is Sol Ruka, is essentially what the promo was. And that's what we get. We just get a match. That's the 2 best in this division, right? And the only other person that I would even consider for this would be Jada Parker. And I think that's coming down the line. She's busy with Michin right now, right? And so this match is just going to be fun. I think both of these are former gymnasts, so we're going to see some of that acrobatic stuff, but it's not going to be like AEW acrobats where like it's super kicks and flips all the time. I think they're going to put on a really, really good match, and use the acrobatic stuff when needed, but not overuse it. This is going to be a fun match. I'm actually very torn on this because Sol Ruka's, I think, the future of NXT. But I really like Kalani Jordan as well, in terms of like I think she needs this title run to help solidify her character, whereas Sol, I think, has already been solidified on a main level run. Personally, I would have rather Sol fought Roxanne Perez over Lola. Like I don't think, and we'll talk about Lola here in a minute, but I'm picking Kalani Jordan here. I think Kalani Jordan wins this match. So we'll move forward. We'll go to the other women's match here. The women's championship match, Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice. Part of me just wants Lola to win so Roxanne can go away because I'm tired of seeing her. But I'm also kind of tired of seeing Lola Vice. However, I need to talk about this segment here, right? This segment between Roxanne and Lola that happened on Tuesday, where everyone y'all know I don't watch live because I'm recording with Wavy D on Tuesdays while NXT is happening, right? And so all I've been seeing, and I haven't really seen this, I never saw the segment until I watched the show. All I've been seeing is about how bad this promo was, and this thing sucks, and NXT's gone down, and blah 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 blah. And I want to know why people are shitting on this segment, right? So I did put this tweet, or this X post. I don't see why people are shitting on Lola and Roxanne's promo from Tuesday. Well, was it a 10? No, but it added to Lola's character. It gave her motivation. She's fighting for her mom and for Cuba. It adds to Lola so that she's more than just shaking her ass, right? This is what I've been asking for with Lola Vice, right? Because for Lola Vice, since she signed, right, the day she signed and it made news and everyone saw, it wasn't Lola Vice, but they called her real name, which I can't think of off the top of my head. Fuck. Valerie Loretta. That's who it is. You know, Valerie Loretta, UFC, Bellator, whatever, wherever she fought, fighter signs with WWE, right? And since the day that this is announced, all people are talking about is what? She got a big ass, right? That's all people are talking about, right? And so she gets on TV, she gets on the NXT, Lola Vice is here, and all that's talked about is what? She shake her hips and she shake her ass, right? That's all people talk about. And there's really no other character work besides that. And that's literally the whole story between her and Shayna. Was Shayna attacked her because she was tired of how unserious she was and all she did was shake her ass, right? That was literally the whole story. So Lola goes past that. She gets into now the world title picture with Roxanne. And now we're getting character work. We're getting motivation. This means something to Lola Vice. This means something. She's fighting for her mom. She's fighting for Cuba. There's motivation. Was it corny? Maybe. But see, NXT is all corny, right? There's a different vibe with NXT than there is with Raw, right? NXT, for the most part, is all sort of that that type of corniness that right. And I don't even necessarily think this was very corny. I just felt like she cried because she thought of her mom, right? That doesn't make this a bad promo. I actually think that it adds an element of depth and empathy. Like, now you feel bad for Lola Vice. Like, Lola Vice is let's be honest, she's a little bitchy, right? And that's her character, right? But now you come in and she's fighting Roxanne, and Roxanne's entire story is, I've been grinding for this since I was 14. This is all I've ever wanted. I'm the only one that cares about NXT. I don't want to go to Raw. I don't want to go to SmackDown. All I've cared about is NXT. This is my division. I care about this more than anybody else does. That's my story. This is all I've ever wanted to do. Right. And then so Lola comes out and tells her story and talks about her mom and talks about fighting for Cuba, and it gives her some motivation as to why I should care about her. And now I care about her. Right now I want her to win for her mama so that she can look right. So, like, I've always wanted her to win so she could just take the title off of Roxanne, because I'm tired of seeing Roxanne because this character sucks. But in the story, like, now there's motivation for who she's fighting for, why she's fighting for, why she's here, why she's in WWE. Like, we're getting some depth of character to who Lola Vice is, and people are going to shit on it. Like, I don't think it's all that bad. My pick is Lola Vice. I do think Lola Vice wins. I 100% think Lola Vice wins this match. And Roxanne Perez, I believe, we're sort of in a weird place with her on does she get caught up or not. And so that's something to look out for. But I do believe Lola Vice leaves this weekend, and next Tuesday will enter NXT Tuesday with the NXT Women's Championship. So now let's talk about Oba versus Wesley. And if Wes loses, he can't challenge for the title again until while Oba's champion, which is the same stip that they gave the Seth Rollins Damian Priest match. If Seth loses, he can't challenge for it again while Damian's champion. And I don't think they're going to give us the same result twice in a weekend. And so I think Seth Rollins is winning. I don't think Wes is winning. I think Obafemi is going to retain. Though my question then is, when will be a good time to put him in the world title picture? But I think he's going to retain. I think Obafemi's retaining. I'm picking Obafemi. And so the NXT Fatal 4-Way, you got Trick Williams, Javon Evans, Shawn Spears, Ethan Page. Trick's winning. This is the big win that Trick needs in this reign. I do think Trick is winning. I think, Shawn Spears is there because it's Canada. Ethan Page is there because it's Canada. But I also think that we might get Ethan Page meets Josh Alexander. I think we might get that. Ethan Page meets Josh Alexander, in the North sort of get teased on NXT. Don't forget, Impact is headquartered. TNA is headquartered in Canada. So I think Trick is winning. I think this continues Shawn Spears versus Javon Evans in that feud. And this ultimately breaks down again into Trick and Ethan for the next big event, which I don't know. I'm assuming they'll announce on Wednesday, on Sunday. But yeah, that not very in depth there. I think Trick wins this. So if you just want to recap my predictions, Nathan Fraser and Axiom, Kalani Jordan, Lola Vice, Obafemi, Trick Williams. I think only one title swapping, I believe. 5 title matches. This is perfect. And I'm sure there'll be other side stories that show up as well. Over the 2-hour or 3-hour show. But with that, thank y'all for watching the Slapping Me Wrestling podcast. I'm WeTooDeep. Until Tuesday, we're gonna break down Money in the Bank with me and Wavy D. But until then, y'all have a great weekend. I'll see y'all on Tuesday.
Brother, I'm going run a wild Hulk Hogan. If I like get some moment, I'll make sure it's an explosion. Cause lately I've been